baby.
Serving up takes on Mizzou, the pros, and everything in between. Want to join in? Call or text the show at 573-875-KTGR. The Big Show starts now.
You bet it does. Welcome into Wednesday's edition of The Big Show on your total sports station, KTGR. Andy Humphrey, Brendan Schaefer here. How about Mizzou hoops tonight? Big one at Texas A&M. If they can get this one, things can really start to look up, Brendan. We can really start to dream now.
Yeah, they can, but they're not expected to do that tonight. So what'll it take to get it done on the road as an underdog? That's a question.
We will see what Mizzou can do as the underdog tonight at Texas A&M. Who you got? Tell us your thoughts. We'll give ours in a few minutes. 875-KTGR. We've got also some overreactions to the Pacoda projections, which were released, I think, within the last couple of days or so. They're not very high on the Cardinals. That we know. That's always been the case with Pacoda. They do project the Royals to win the AL Central, though. So we'll talk about whether they can do that. We'll talk about Pacoda at 5:05 from both the Cardinals and Royals angle. And some preview of Mizzou baseball season today. Their season begins Friday, as we'll talk with head coach Kerrick Jackson at 4:25. And we'll talk with Matt Michaels, Tiger Radio Network broadcaster, at 5:25 on all things Mizzou baseball. And maybe he'll weigh in on some Big Show things because he was on this show for a good while.
Yeah.
But, he'll rejoin us. We'll reunite at 5:25. You won't want to miss that. 875-KTGR. Give us a call or a text. Tweet us at KTGR Big Show. Live on YouTube right now, youtube.com/@KTGR Sports. We're also live on Facebook, facebook.com/KTGR Big Show.
Now, the Big Show's Big Deal.
Mizzou is about a 6.5-point underdog, it would seem, at Texas A&M. Ken Pom projects them to lose by 7. But Mizzou, if they can get this win, can get their third consecutive SEC win. They can tie A&M in the conference standings. Right now, A&M is in a tie for third place as it stands now. Make that standalone for fourth place at the moment after yesterday's results. If Mizzou is able to beat them tonight, Mizzou is in a tie for sixth, but they can have the same record as Texas A&M in conference were they to win. And that would at least be tied for fourth at the end of the night. So we'll see if Mizzou can do that. Going to be a tough test. It's an 8 o'clock tip-off, 7:30 pregame start right here on KTGR as Mizzou visits Texas A&M and then too. That is the Big Show's Big Deal on this 11th day of February 2026. Give us a call or a text at 875-KTGR. It's the week more so, Brendan, because later on this Saturday, Mizzou will have another big game against Texas, who is squarely a bubble team. They're in the same bucket. And by the way, that game's sold out. Mizzou just announced that earlier today. So that's
very
cool.
good.
That's
very
cool.
good.
Saturday night, Valentine's Day, but that's not driving the fans away. That's good to see. So big week, you'd have to say. If you don't get this one, then surely you need that one on Saturday. But if you get this one, you could still get the one Saturday. It wouldn't be as required, but like you could clearly see, like, okay, if they're capable of going on the road to A&M, coming away with a win some way, somehow, well then, shoot, reset what we might think about what they're able to do the rest of the way.
Yeah, and I mean, it would be pretty important in terms of just kind of reshaping the trajectory to start this week off on an unexpectedly high note. And then I think that would just add a lot of fuel to Saturday, which I think is still just as important as any other game, regardless of tonight's outcome, because you look ahead as the schedule continues to wind, it gets tougher. And a home game against Texas is probably one of your most gettable home games remaining. So I think even if they happen to come out on the good side of an upset tonight, Saturday remains the most important game of the season. But yeah, there's a lot that we're going to learn over the course of this week. And look, I think that's even true if you split these games and go 1-1. You learn that you've got a tough road to hoe the rest of the way. If you fall twice, then you learn that maybe it's just not your year. Like, I think that this week going the wrong direction could certainly end up kind of tanking the hopes in a lot of ways.
Well, it certainly shows you that if you're losing both of those games, and for what you have left, you have less margin for error. Now, look, I still contend no matter how way Mizzou gets there, if they get to 10-8, then it's gonna look good no matter what. The most preferable option is that you start inching closer to that mark this week in some way, shape, or form by going 1-1. You just got to go 500 the rest of the way, and you're there. So like whatever math you don't get in your favor this week, we've got to make it up somehow, and it's just going to be tougher to do when you go to Arkansas. You have Vandy, Tennessee, and Arkansas all at home, and those are a lot of tough home games. I know they're at home, and Mizzou will probably still get one of them. But yeah, this is the week where you do the damage, where you create that margin for error, even as a bubble team, because you can't have enough of it when you're getting closer to March. And that's what this game is. It's a margin creating game. If Mizzou were to win it, it tells you that they're capable of that. They're going on the road, and that would be their best road win this year, if you ask me. Maybe not quite by what the numbers say. It would be interesting to see
Kentucky,
whether
I would still call Kentucky better,
even if they go and beat A&M here. I think it's pretty close, actually.
Yeah, I would call Kentucky a better win. Kentucky's a better team.
Think so?
Yeah, I think so. I'm still a skeptic on A&M just being, this world beater, and they're not a ranked team right now. I think they are a really good team, and they're a tournament team. But I think if I had to pick one team to roll with in March, it'll be Kentucky compared to A&M.
Well, Kentucky's definitely playing better recently. They, again, have started to figure it out. Their talent's in the right roles. They found the right spots.
Yeah, but, Mizzou, even as Kentucky was struggling at that time, if memory serves, Mizzou was like an 11.5-point underdog.
Yeah.
And won that game. And tonight they're an underdog, but it's only like 6.5.
Fair enough. It's certainly a game that Mizzou can take advantage of because A&M has lost 2 in a row. They didn't play bad at Alabama. Like, they were right there. And take Charles Bediako out of the equation, A&M probably wins. Florida, they looked awful at home. And like that's been stewing for them over the last few days. And so the worry is that, is Mizzou going to get smacked in the mouth by a team that is very unhappy with how it went down in their last time out against a team that's, if they had won that, they really do think about what their upward trajectory is if they beat Florida at their place. So now they're like, okay, here comes Mizzou, who's, 40 spots lower in KenPom. Let's put them away. They go very fast. A&M's a fast team. Mizzou's dealt with fast teams before and been able to slow them down, been able to drag them to their pace a little bit more. Key again to do that, especially on the defensive end. And look, maybe you do have to hope that they have less than stellar 3-point shooting night. Like I think Mizzou, not awesome at 3-point defense, obviously. Been a little better in conference play, though. Recently, they've been closing out a little bit better. But I do think sometimes you have to hope, okay, maybe 1 or 2 shots for them don't fall in some really big moments, and that keeps you in it, and you can still be in striking distance down the stretch if you're able to keep them to a reasonable number from 3. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, A&M's pretty balanced. They're around 40th in both offensive and defensive efficiency. Mizzou this year will be a team that tries to slow down what A&M looks to do, and that's not maybe the way the matchup would have gone last year, but they play pretty quick, and Mizzou has had more of a measured pace. Really, to me, it's about your core guys. I'm calling it the core 4 that I think are going to contribute the most. Those are going to be the guys that have to give you their best tonight. And if you get your best players to play at their best, then I think Mizzou has a chance. But it's really going to take all of that, and then however deep they go with this rotation, which was certainly more narrow in the game against South Carolina, you would like to see some ancillary contributions as well. But you're talking about Mark Mitchell, T.O. Barrett, Jaden Stone, Trent Pierce. I think those are the guys that you got to see A games from to be able to win on the road in an environment like this.
Call or text us with what you think on the Mizzou-Texas A&M game tonight, 573-875-KTGR. No doubt those guys need to be there. It's Pierce that is maybe the one that you are that's been the more hot and cold one to me.
Yeah.
So like he's got to be there. The other three have been a little more consistent. Stone, not too worried about. Mark Mitchell, not too worried about him either. A&M does have some good interior presence, but this can still be a Mark Mitchell game if you work through him. If he gets regular touches in the paint to collapse the defense, Mizzou able to spot the perimeter with their shooters, then there can still be that type of rhythm that Mizzou can achieve in this game. I do look at, for road wins like this, though, I do think someone else needs to have a bit of an eye-popping performance that puts them over the top. I do think that's required.
Yeah, I don't know about eye-popping, but like you do want to see the contributions from, what do we get from Sean Phillips? Does Jacob Cruz make an impact? He's going to play minutes, like he's going to be out there. Can he make a meaningful impact? And, Anthony Robinson is always that wild card too. But I think that's your 7 guys that you're going to see play meaningful minutes. The contributions are going to have to come from that group. I think that's kind of how limited they are to realistically be able. There'll be a guy that sees a couple minutes here, a couple minutes there from outside that group, but those are the 7 that they rolled with against South Carolina, and that's who's probably going to have to get it done in this one.
No, I don't see anybody else that for sure you can rely upon giving you like a strong 10 minutes even in a game like this. There's no one else that has either been given that chance or Dennis Gates threw him out there and he said, okay, yeah, no, we can't.
Yeah.
You can't roll with this that much longer.
That's been the trend with the others they've tried.
Yeah, and look, it's tough at this point. Can Mizzou hold up the rest of the season that way? We'll see. There are other college basketball teams that do. Most of them have about 8 that they trust to have those types of minutes in the rotation. Can Mizzou get by with 7? That's more of a big picture question. I think they can tonight, though, if they are able to have those 7 still be at their requisite level. But I do look for like Anthony Robinson to be getting closer to what you were hoping Anthony Robinson was.
I'm not really looking for that because I haven't seen any signs it's coming.
Well, then don't expect Mizzou to win then. That's the thing.
No, I'm not going to predict that they will. So,
all right.
I mean, that's kind of the long and short of it, I guess. I think they could win without him doing much differently than what he's done, but that's why I said the other 4. You can't probably do it with same Ant and a cold night from Pierce. I don't think that's a path to victory. But I don't think I've seen where I'm ready to go, this from Anthony Robinson recently tells me it's all about to turn. I think he's going to kind of be what he's been, and I hope that I'm wrong about that he starts to dial it in. Like his hot games have come at times when they've needed it most against some of those quality foes that they played early on in conference play. He played well. So maybe he'll rise to the occasion, but it's hard to just pick out and say this will be the night that it clicks.
Well, I'm not saying. I'm saying it needs to be from somebody. Anthony Robinson, just for the record, the last big road win that Mizzou got at Kentucky, he was 9 points, 10 assists.
Yeah,
4 of 6 from inside the arc. I don't even need him to hit threes. I just need him to be a threat offensively in some level of the floor. Something that's the opposing defense will have to respect coming off the bench in some way. And look, T.O. Barrett can still provide that. Like T.O. is the X factor in this whole thing, if you ask me. If he's able to get to his spot, if he's able to collapse the defense the way that he has in games past, then Mizzou can find the openings that they need to keep pace with a team like this. But it's also going to come down to, I think, Robinson not only creeping a little bit closer to that productivity, but also maybe like to force a turnover or 2 that gets you an easy basket.
Steal basketball. Yeah.
Because that's been his, when he's playing well, he's able to do that at least once or twice a game. So I think you search for that too.
I agree with that. And I agree that he doesn't have to be a focal point of like shooting from deep, but if he's assisting on other people getting open looks and they're knocking them down, that's a way that he can absolutely have meaningful contributions. No question about it.
James texting in, they have to make free throws and not go 8 of 23. Yeah, that'd be recommended. Look, free throw has not hurt them. I'll say that recently. That's been better.
Yeah.
Last game at South Carolina, Mizzou, 70%. That's not hurting you. You can ask for it to be better. They shot 30 of them though. So it made 21 of 30. You're not, and they won by 19 also. I mean, the fact that they were able to get to that point was meaningful. And then the game before that against Mississippi State, 76%. I mean, if this has been what we can expect out of Mizzou now, baseline wise, if you're getting to 70, then you're not hurting yourself at the free throw line. That's the goal tonight.
Yeah, you want to be stout in all the areas that you could trip up. You want to not get completely, you don't want to collapse on the boards. You want to be close and not allowing too many offensive rebounds to where if your defense holds up for 25 seconds and you get a stop, you've got to get the basketball. They just can't. I don't think with a team like this, that as balanced as A&M is, I don't think you can afford to have any one major deficiency, because that could be enough to tank it and you lose by 6 or 8 points.
So if they win, what would you guess their record finishes at?
They win tonight?
Yeah.
They'd be 7-4 in conference play
at the end of the year.
If they win tonight, I have to believe that they can beat Texas at home in a sold-out environment at night. So that's 8.
6 left after that.
The more time goes along, and I've been a pessimist this year relative to maybe the things I'm about to say. The more time goes along, I think Vanderbilt's a beatable team. I mean, we saw them lose at Oklahoma, and I'm not dogging Oklahoma when I say that. We know Mizzou needed every bit of, 2 overtimes and 2 buzzer beaters to beat OU. But that game at home feels kind of winnable. I think you probably drop Oklahoma on the road. I don't think you beat Arkansas either time. And then it's down to Tennessee and the Mississippi State road game. They can win one of those, but I think that puts them at about 11. So if they win tonight, 11. If they lose tonight, which is the expected outcome, 6.5 point spread, I think Saturday is a true coin flip. And that's probably the case either way, because unless somebody gets hurt tonight, they're not a different team going into Saturday night. But my confidence in their ability to win the game, I think, would certainly change based on pulling an upset tonight. And so if they lose tonight, I think I'm looking at 9-9 and thinking kind of probably 9-9. If they win tonight, I'll bump it up to 11-7, because I think that would be, it's truly a kind of a glass ceiling shattering type of win, because we saw them do it early in conference play, but you could write off the Florida game as Florida didn't play well. They weren't themselves just yet. You could write it off on Kentucky. They really were not themselves yet. But I think it would be hard to take away if you then added another to the ledger, which I still would say Kentucky, the most impressive win, doing that on the road. Florida may be more impressive even though it's at home. But I think if you add another one to that ledger, it's going to start to become overwhelming. And I think in the way that people talk about Mizzou, it would become overwhelming as well. Like Lenardi has them as the second team out before last night's games. And if you win this, you'll be in his tournament field without a doubt, in my opinion. So now you're like, okay, just tread water the rest of the way and you'd be in. And I think that's true. If you get to 7-4 tonight, 10-8 gets you in, and that's 3-2 the rest of the way after tonight. So tonight really can allow you to access that conversation about double bye. Like that wouldn't be over.
Right.
If you lose tonight, it's like, yeah, we're kind of where they thought they'd be, more in the middle. But then you've got to win Texas. Texas becomes a must win. I know you could look at it and say there's still enough games left to get to 10-8. They're not getting to 10-8 if they go 0-2 this week. That's just the facts as I see them.
That's hard to do, especially without I think at least one of the Arkansas games, and certainly without a Vanderbilt win. I think even if they lose tonight, 10 is still possible. I would still peg them at around 8-9 wins. And it does matter how it looks, right? Like if they get run out of the gym, that can really start to bury you. I will say though, like if you're peaking at this time, like they did last year, where they went on a run, that run included the win over Alabama, where they reached 110, and Alabama shot really well themselves, but still lost by 12. Like you do need to have enough steam left in order to finish a lot better than you did last year. And again, we'll see what that looks like with Mizzou's current rotation and whether that can hold up the rest of the way. But for tonight, look, I think they'll hang, but I think A&M will win by 2. I'm going to go 79-77.
Oh, I think it's a little more low scoring than that. 78-73. I think they're like in the mix. Maybe they even eke out a cover. It's probably unlikely. It probably feels like the final will be 78-73, and then free throws happen at the end. So give me 79-71 is more realistic, because I think they'll be in that range where it's like, we can swing this game, final 4 minutes, but they kind of run out of steam.
Look, again, like this can be an icing type of win for Mizzou that gets you a little bit closer to that double bye territory. But that's why these games are hard to get. And we'll see if Mizzou is able to have one of their better performances of the year to get it, because that's what will be required. But you can call or text us here at 573-875-KTGR if you want to weigh in on Texas A&M and Mizzou hoops tonight. 8 o'clock tip-off. How many more of these 8 p.m.s do we have, man? Those are tough.
It's going to be late. It's going to be late.
It's tough. Come on. Why can't we just like stagger it a little bit better and do like 5 to 7? You know?
I don't know. I don't know if you can start them at 5, because then you're talking about mostly East Coast teams.
Yeah, but that's but that's better for them, isn't it?
Yeah, but they're who you cater to, and they're starting the games like 7 is like the universal start time, and everybody lives in East Coast world, and they want to get them back to back. So if you're going to have a window, it's got to. I get what you're saying. I just don't think the people actually attending the game have as easy of a time in a league like this to get there at 6 o'clock. I think 7 Eastern is just like the 7 Eastern, 6 Central is like the universal start time. So,
well,
I honestly
whenever
start the second games at 7:30, because they don't get over on time anyway. It's not like you're going to get to see the whole second game as it is. So
it's true.
TV schedules be damned. Like they're always squeezing them. These games take 2 hours and 20 minutes, and they put them 2 hours apart. It's just.
It never works out that way, especially at the SEC tournament when they space them out like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Good luck.
No wonder we're here at 11 p.m. Like,
yep.
Come on. James texts in 69-66. He didn't say who won, though. I'm kept in suspense.
I'm going to assume it's Mizzou.
Okay. Good.
I'm going to assume he's going to be looking on the bright side today. Glass half full.
All right. Mr. Brightside, 875-KTGR. Give us a call or a text. Mizzou A&M coverage begins at 7:30 tonight right here on KTGR. Tip-off at 8 p.m. We'll see if Mizzou can get a signature road win tonight at the Aggies in College Station, Brendan's favorite town. All right. We'll talk baseball. Mizzou baseball, to be specific, with head coach Kerrick Jackson. Tigers start their season Friday in Fort Myers, Florida. Talk about the offseason, what it meant to him, how he sees this year's team shaping up, and what he expects out of them these first few weeks. Head coach of Mizzou baseball, Kerrick Jackson, joins us next on The Big Show.
Miss the latest edition of The Big Show? Catch up on demand with a full show podcast on the KTGR app. Download it now, wherever you get your apps.
Welcome to every gym in January. Membership prices, crazy high. Crowds, even worse. All just to wait in line for a bench. Or, hear me out, you could build your own home gym from Play It Again Sports. Free weights, dumbbells, plates, treadmills, ellipticals, benches, racks, and more. New and used. At prices that don't feel like a crime. No crowds, no monthly fees, no awkward eye contact with Chad curling on the squat rack. Play It Again Sports. Think of them first so you don't finish last. Play It Again Sports, ColumbiaMo.com.
KTGR and MU Healthcare Sports Medicine are highlighting a local athlete each week. It's the KTGR Athlete Spotlight.
This week features Father Tolton senior wrestler Christopher Ankinman, who earned his 100th win by fall in his career at the Blue Springs South Tournament. Christopher won the 126-pound title at the tournament with 5 wins, all by fall.
That's the KTGR Athlete Spotlight, thanks to MU Healthcare Sports Medicine, providing everything athletes need to be and stay at their best, because they're competitors too.
Leland, why do you have this dusty old chain on your dresser? You never even wear it. Well, I might wear it again, Rainey, someday. You need to take it into Bet's Jewelers Trading Days. True. Necklace dust got me. When is Trading Days? February 10th through 14th. Let's go together. Can trade your Valentine for me. But if I trade it, my new jewelry might be free? Yep. Happy Valentine's Day, bro. Bet's Jewelers Trading Days, February 10th through 14th.
Beautiful moments begin at best. Begin at best.
Before the sun comes up and long after it sets, ABC 17 News and Storm Track Weather keep working for you, gathering the information your family needs to take on the day, alerting you to breaking news and health and safety concerns in our area, plus tracking the latest weather conditions to help you plan ahead. It's everything you need to know from the team you trust most. ABC 17 News and Storm Track Weather, where the news comes first.
Life has many sweet sounds, whether it's being enchanted by the coo of a baby, enthralled by the refrain of a favorite song, or even enlightened by a celebration. Hearing connects, informs, and engages us with the world. At Hearing Aid Consultants, helping people hear better is our passion. Set your hearing baseline now so you don't miss the sweet sounds of life.
Hearing Aid Consultants in Allmake Repair Lab. We are here for you today so you can hear tomorrow. HearingAidConsultants.com.
Michael Agnew here with API Project Fitness. I understand that life is hard, and if you're soft, it will squish you. You must find a way to be hard. Armor yourself up mentally and physically and emotionally. Our goal is to help you find your inner strength and hardness. The difference between strength and weakness is choice. With our group fitness classes and personal training and open gym, the choice is yours. Choose strength. Find us at APIProjectFitness.com or call us at 573-268-6944 to make an appointment.
Hi, I'm Sarah Sticklin-McDonald.
And I'm Charlie Sticklin with the Sticklin & Sticklin Law Firm.
And I'm Mizzou Softball's Natalie Touche. At Sticklin & Sticklin, all we do is personal injury.
We've earned millions for our clients since 1991.
On the diamond, I trust my team. Off the diamond, I trust Sticklin & Sticklin. Don't let the insurance companies strike you out. Let Sticklin & Sticklin go to bat for you. Sticklin & Sticklin, it's a home run.
Back to more of the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. You've got The Big Show on the KTGR app.
Back here on The Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app. Andy Humphrey here, and Friday marks the start of Mizzou baseball season as the Tigers will open up non-conference play, playing against Mount St. Mary's down in Fort Myers, Florida. They'll have a couple of neutral site series in Fort Myers, back-to-back weekends, along with a midweek sandwiched in between to start out their 2026 campaign. So excited for that to get started, and pleased to be joined by the head coach of Mizzou baseball, Kerrick Jackson, here on the KTGR hotline in year number 3 for him. And Coach, I know this week is certainly an exciting ramp up for your guys to finally be able to think about some games coming up here very soon. How has the last few weeks of preparation looked for your group as you try to shape up for what you got in 2026?
Oh, it's going really well. We've asked our guys just to kind of focus on getting better each day. We talk about, everybody talks about the idea of winning. And as I continue to preach to them, winning is a byproduct of doing things the right way. And so we've actually used win, but we've used the acronym of what is important now. And so really getting our guys to focus on what can you do today that is going to put us in a position to be successful when that time comes. And are you taking advantage of each day that you have to just improve, even if it's a little bit, right? And you stack those days up, and then by the end of it, there's a huge improvement.
Kind of rewinding a little bit, when you hit the off season last year and you took stock of what you had and what you wanted to improve on, obviously coming off a year that certainly in conference season was really challenging for you. When you go into a summer and you try to evaluate what you've got, what was kind of the approach for how you went about it? And I know all the additions that you brought in to try and retool for the next year. What did that look like for you, and what kind of approach did you want to take to it?
I think the biggest thing was, obviously we had a ton of injuries last year. And so we got exposed for not having quality depth. And that our depth was guys that had potential, but weren't ready to jump in there and be able to keep us in a position to be competitive. And so that's the one thing that we did this year was we looked at that and make sure we put ourselves in a position where, knock on wood, we suffer any injuries, that we have the depth pieces that are good enough to put us in a position to stay competitive until we get those other guys back and healthy. And so that's what we did. And so as a result of that, the fall and early spring were really, really competitive because everybody that we have out here could put themselves in a position to be in the starting lineup. And so when you have that type of competition, nobody can rest. You got to get after it every day.
Kerrick Jackson, Mizzou baseball head coach, here on the Big Show. KTGR's Mizzou baseball season starts on Friday. A key addition to your coaching staff, Drew Dickinson, the pitching coach coming over from Virginia, and they obviously had a ton of success there under his tutelage and overseeing their pitching staff. How have you seen him kind of implement the things that have worked for him and trying to make it work for your collection of pitchers that you have?
He's been outstanding. The one thing that when I was going through that process of looking to add a pitching coach was, as I told everybody, I needed to have somebody come in here that was going to give our guys an identity. Once you see Drew and see how competitive he is, and he competes at everything from drinking water to walking on the field, whatever it is, he's always in a competitive mindset. And so I think that has spilled over into our pitching staff, and he's forcing them to rise to that level of competitiveness and focus and determination. And I think we're going to see a really, really good result because of that.
When you see him also not only work with some of the pitchers that you got, but maybe also some of the additions as well that you added either through recruiting classes or transfer portal, things like that, how has it all been kind of balanced to be able to maybe work through what you might start out with pitching-wise and how you're figuring out guys' roles and things of that nature?
It's been good because we have a variety of guys that can do different things. We from the pitching standpoint, we have different, left, right, different breaking balls, different slots. Positionally, you got a slew of left-handed batters, and you got your right-handed hitters, and you got guys that can play multiple positions. And so as we look to find the pieces that will be the most cohesive with the lineup, we have different options to be able to do that. And then from a pitching standpoint, you got some older guys that have had experience here that are now back and healthy with us, like a Javen Pimental. He missed last year because of Tommy John. Well, that's a guy that's pitched in the league for 2 years, who's a bona fide Friday night type starter for you. And so we're getting that guy back. And a Brady Kellenbrink, who's one of those guys that last year, because of the injuries, he's thrown into the fire and asked to pitch for us in conference play. And it was truly baptismal by fire for him because he got himself into some situations and he found out, what this league was all about. But now you have those guys coming back with experience, and Josh McDevitt. And so it's been really good because we're able to take some of the guys that have been with us and that were here as freshmen that got some opportunities, match that with some older guys, and then bring in, a handful of freshmen who are younger players and a couple transfers who will be able to help us also in that.
Kerrick Jackson, Mizzou baseball coach here on the Big Show KTGR. Mizzou baseball season begins this Friday as the Tigers play Mount St. Mary's over in Fort Myers, Florida. On the hitting side, several guys that were bright spots for your group in the lineup last year. How do you kind of build upon what they were able to see, what they were able to pick up on as they try to turn the page and then take another step forward into 2026?
Like you said, I think, that first part of our conference season, we were averaging 6 runs a game in conference play, but we just couldn't get zeros. And so when you look at a Caden Pierre and a Mateo Cerna, Pierre Seals, Cam Benson, although his was sparing with some of the injuries that he had last year, you have some guys that are coming back, Keegan Knutson, that are coming back that had experience in the league. That again, I think there's always a year of transition for players. And so I think those players have gone through their year of transition and come out better on the other end. And that's, Pierre Seals hit 300 last year in conference, and Cam, Cam Benson was up and down, like I said, but Caden Pierre, was just below 300. And so we have some guys that can come out and do some things. And I think them going through that process, we've added some more athleticism. The lineup is going to have depth to it. We're going to be able to do different things. We can bunt if we need to bunt. We can slug if we need to slug. We can move runners when we need to. So for me, that's what I want from an offensive perspective, is a multifaceted offense, because as you well know, this is a pitching and defensive league. And so you have to have multiple ways that you can score runs and not just think that you're going to sit up there and slug with guys.
Well, and you've mentioned, adding depth to that as well. And you certainly did that through the transfer portal this year. It was kind of highlighted, it seems, by Cam Durnan coming over from Wichita State, putting up some really big numbers there. I know he's also had some really good summer numbers past the college season, but just adding a guy like that and several of the other bats that you want to try and utilize to continue to have some firepower there. What do you maybe kind of expect early on from some of those guys when you figure out where they best fit?
I think just that, right? The idea of being consistent and understanding what we're asking them to do in our lineup that will allow us to be successful. And, we want them to be, on base guys that are aggressive and ready to hit fastballs when opportunities present themselves, but again, also have that ability to move runners and bunt for a hit and those types of things. So I think when you see our lineup, the thing that I like most about it is, again, as I said earlier, just the versatility that we're going to have have more ways and be creative in being able to score runs. And we've seen that we can plug and play with some different guys in there, and the synergy of the lineup still maintains its integrity as you do that. So that's when you're in a really good position.
Kerrick Jackson, Mizzou baseball coach here on the Big Show KTGR. And so conference season will obviously be here in about a month or so, but before then, a collection of non-con games to start out your group. What do you hope to learn over the next few weeks or so about how your guys tackle these challenges you got coming up with, bunch of different teams from a lot of different parts of the country that you'll be taking on?
I think the biggest thing, and the thing that we've been preaching, is just play clean baseball, throw strikes, play good defense, have quality at bats. And at the core of it, that is what this game is all about. And so we've been challenging them to do that. And then we've, as I told you, the win concept of what's important now, what falls underneath that. We talk about the two most important aspects of the game, and that's scoring runs and getting outs. So we're either doing everything in our power to score runs, and we're doing everything in our power to get outs, and making that the main focus, and really trying to boil everything down to that for them. And you can score runs in offensive in the college level. Offense is about scoring runs, not necessarily getting hits. So trying to take away the idea of them being so consumed with got to get a hit as to what can I do to get on base so my teammates can put me in a position and score me once I'm on base. And so if they could just, no matter who the opponent is, just play good baseball. Doesn't matter who's in the other dugout, what the logo is on the chest. Doesn't matter. That's the beauty of the game of baseball. You're playing against the game itself. And when you're doing that, if you play the game right, then you figure out if your A game is as good as the other team's A game. And if it's not, and they beat you, well, then you tip your hat to them because they beat you, but you don't lose because you didn't play your A game.
For sure. And then for, again, year 3 for you as you start out here in 2026. I know first couple of years, not the results that you maybe wanted, but in this year 3, what are you mostly looking for to see like, hey, this is heading in the direction that I envisioned when I started out to start to build this up to where we want it to be? What do you kind of look for maybe in that big picture sense this year to know that it's heading that way?
I think just what I just talked about was just being consistent in how we play the game, and going out and playing the game the right way, playing it hard, playing it aggressive, throwing strikes, being competitive, on the offensive standpoint, putting pressure on the defense. That's one of the things that we talk to our guys about is we want to put pressure on the defense. And when we're on offense or when we're on defense, we don't want to be passive. We want to be aggressive and we want to be offensive on defense. And so we want to put pressure on the offense to get to that first base, to get the extra 90, whatever it is. We don't want to give them anything. We're constantly going to put pressure on them to make it tough for them to score runs. And I think if you take an offensive mindset on both sides of the ball, it puts you in a position to be really, really successful. And I think our guys have adopted that. And so if you see us being aggressive on the bases, if you see us being aggressive from a defensive standpoint, then you know that when you watch us play and you just say, man, that's an aggressive group. Now you know that we're doing things the way that I'm envisioning that we can do them. And in this third year of the build, that we've kind of reached that plateau and ready to go from there.
Well, certainly excited for the season to start here very soon. Again, Friday is when the first pitch will be thrown in the Mizzou baseball season. They'll play 7 games over that next week or so in Florida as the Tigers play against Mount St. Mary's, Florida Atlantic, and New Haven in those first 7 games in the non-conference season. Great to have the head coach, Kerrick Jackson, here on the Big Show to preview 2026 Mizzou baseball. Coach, thanks so much for taking time today. Good luck over in Florida in the first few, and we'll talk soon.
That was good. Thank you. MIZ.
COU. Big Show's on at 4:43, KTGR and the KTGR app. And so, we'll see how that looks for Mizzou baseball to start out. It's obviously tough because you got to basically set up residency in a warm weather state for the first couple weeks, and that's what they're doing this time.
Yep.
They basically scheduled a 2 teams from the Northeast to play neutral site series, 3-game sets, back-to-back weekends in Fort Myers, Florida at the same field. And so good that worked out. The first chance you'll get to see Mizzou baseball at home will be in a couple of weeks. It'll be February 24th and 25th. They'll host Arkansas Pine Bluff. You know what? We'll see what this team does this year. I mean, last couple of years, you've kind of seen the results, and they're not great.
No.
The cynical say room for improvement, but I think they will in fact improve this year. Really good transfer portal, I thought, from the coaching staff. And I think Drew Dickinson will make an impact as a pitching coach. I am curious to see how that all makes an impact for this group.
Yeah. And I know, we'll get a chance to talk with Matt Michaels about all of that as well. But at the end of the day, you're looking for some positive momentum because they were last in the conference last year and it wasn't really even close. So trying to just find a way to claw your way up those standings is ultimately what the fans are going to look at. I understand that Coach Jackson has a process that he talked about when it comes to you've got to look at what is important now to be able to get to the end result. But you can't just, as the team, sit there and say, well, we want to win more games. Well, yeah, but what are you going to do to put the work in to achieve that goal? You have to be process oriented, and it sounds very much like that's the case. And we'll see, how that plays out when they begin the season, and then as they get closer and closer toward conference play, because those are very much 2 different animals, Andy, when it comes to non-con and conference play in the SEC in particular. That is behemoth. We talk about it. It means more in a lot of these sports. Baseball is certainly one of them.
Yeah, I see a lot of numbers next to names on the Mizzou baseball schedule there.
I'm not surprised by that.
Scroll down. That's what you can expect pretty much every weekend. Again, we will talk more Mizzou baseball with Matt Michaels of the Tiger Radio Network. You can hear him and Tex Little on the KTGR app. Each and every game you can hear right there, as well as on KTGR.com. We will still have games on radio later in the year as well, but you won't miss a single game of Mizzou baseball with the KTGR app at KTGR.com this season. Starting on Fridays, the Tigers take on Mount St. Mary's.
Under the Bus coming up next. Guess what? Now it's Nate Oates' whining season. It's next.
Now, your local Sports Center update on your total sports station, KTGR.
Good afternoon. I'm Billy Jones. This Sports Center update is with Lee's Tire Company. If it's rounded rubber, Lee's sells it. Lee'sTireCompany.com. Mizzou men's basketball is on the road tonight at Texas A&M to take on Bucky McMillan's Aggies. Tigers are trying to win their third SEC game in a row and notch an important win for their NCAA tournament hopes. ESPN's Joe Lenardi has Missouri in his first four out. Tip-off set for 8 p.m. with a pregame starting 30 minutes prior right here on KTGR. Mizzou Athletics announced they are searching for a naming rights partner to sponsor Memorial Stadium. Mizzou will engage Intersect Partners, a nationally experienced firm, to help aid the search. They also added they're seeking to find a new way to honor veterans as the name Memorial will no longer be utilized in the name. This comes as the stadium approaches its 100th anniversary season. Today marks the first spring training workouts for Royals pitchers and catchers. Their first exhibition game against the Rangers comes Friday the 20th. Cardinals pitchers and catchers reporting tomorrow for workouts. Your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast is with Kretsch's Custom Exteriors. Get your very own custom P platform mowing services or perfectly landscaped backyard today by calling Kretsch's Custom Exteriors at 573-219-6011 or visiting Kretsch'sCustomExteriors.com.
I'm ABC 17 Storm Track Chief Meteorologist Jessica Hafner. I'm tracking a chilly night as we drop down to about 33 degrees. We'll see increasing clouds for tomorrow. A chance for a few sprinkles in the afternoon with highs in the mid-50s. Friday will end the week on a nice note, partly sunny with highs near 60. I'm ABC 17 Storm Track Chief Meteorologist Jessica Hafner, and that's your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast on your total sports station, KTGR.
The foundation is set.
Missouri knocks off the number one team in the nation.
The frame is built.
On the run, Mitchell for the flush, Missouri by 20.
And the gates,
the habits, the response to detail, the execution, all that stuff matters.
Are open.
Drives right baseline to the rim, jams it as he hangs and got fouled.
This is your radio home for Mizzou basketball.
Cruz, here comes the three. Bang, he splashed it home.
Mid-Missouri's total sports station, KTGR.
Hi, everyone. Andy Humphrey here for Lee's Tire Company. Wintertime can be very hard on your vehicle, so don't neglect it at all during this month. Be sure to take it into Lee's Tire Company for regular maintenance. They can check fluids. They can check tire pressure. They also have a great technical team that can take care of larger projects if you need those done. But, of course, they're the tire experts. So they'll check your tires to make sure they're in tip-top shape, check the alignment. And if you need new tires, they've got a huge selection. So chances are it won't be hard to find the right ones for you. And you can also save by getting tires at Lee's Tire Company. Every single month they run specials to put money back in your pocket if you need new tires. Go and check out Lee'sTireCompany.com for all of those specials that are happening now. And be sure to visit them on the Business Loop in Columbia or at University Garage, where they have a large location right by the MU campus. They're also in Centralia, or shop online for tires anytime at Lee'sTireCompany.com. If it's round and rubber, Lee's sells it. Lee'sTireCompany.com.
It was 1 p.m. on a Monday when the phone rang. Brian Ware Plumbing and Restoration answered the call. It was a panicked family with a mouse problem. Well, a mouse/plumbing problem. Their toilet was more backed up than the connector at 63 and I-70. But Brian's team eventually plucked out the problem. It was a mouse, but like the computer kind, which the family then asked if they could keep afterwards. We didn't ask why. Better call Brian and unplug your plumbing problems. BrianWarePlumbing.com.
From elegant weddings to corporate lunches with flavor and flair, Courtyard by Marriott Columbia brings the party and the pros. It's the home of Main Event Catering. And with every event, you'll get an award-winning chef, full banquet staff, and drop-and-go options for any size crowd. And the event center holds up to 300 guests with 8 flexible rooms. If you need help, there's a Marriott certified wedding coordinator on staff too. Book now by calling 573-443-8000.
You know your favorites. Now it's time to put them on the map. Nominations are open for Inside Columbia Magazine's Best of Columbia 2026. Now through March 1st. Nominate the businesses and places you love, including Best Pizza, Best Bar, Best Chiropractor, Best Insurance Agent, and Best Home Repair and Remodeling. You can nominate once per day. So come back and support the businesses you love most. Best of Columbia 2026 starts with you. Nominate today at InsideColumbia.net.
Okay, the limb is hanging over the driveway. I need this pruned.
Oh, call the electrician.
An electrician?
Yeah, or maybe your HVAC guy.
You've officially lost it. I need an expert in the right field.
Fine. Call that lawn company. They mow and prune.
Yeah, they also scalped your yard last summer.
When it comes to trees, trust the experts who actually know trees. Ones that are trained and educated for pruning, planting, and removals done right. Call Eric at Advanced Tree Solutions, your tree's best friend. AdvancedTreeSolutionsLLC.com.
So, Mr. Fancy Dancy Sports Car Dude, you say you were distracted by a raccoon feasting in the road? Okay. How about the fact that you were going way too fast when there's like 5 inches of snow on the ground? Nice ditch you got there, bro. Now you need a savior, a do-over. Find your phone and just Google I-70 Towing. They're Mid-Missouri's go-to crew for slide-offs. When your winter world seems to have been wrecked, call the team they hope you never have to meet. I-70towing.com. A raccoon. Just ridiculous.
They can't shoot it straight on the golf course, but they can shoot straight on the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. Back to Andy and Brendan on The Big Show on KTGR.
It's time to go under the bus on The Big Show.
Well, it seems now, after Charles Bediako was deemed ineligible by the courts, the NCAA wins the case. Seems now that Nate Oates is going to spend all season whining about it. Alabama plays Ole Miss tonight. In his press conference yesterday, Nate Oates made sure to point out the player for Ole Miss, I believe Cameron, and made sure to really point out, man, this is a really tough player. He's got a lot of pro experience playing over in Europe, so that, it's going to be really, really hard to deal with,
what
guys.
A baby.
Yeah.
Oh my
Are you kidding? Not at all the same situation, Nate. This guy is playing college ball for, a continuous number of years for the first time. Your player didn't. And you were brazen about trying to make him be okay to play. Like, come on, man. We're going to have to endure this all season. I know it.
We are. He's insufferable.
Yeah. So
under the bus.
He'll continue to be if I know Nate Oates, and I think I do.
Yeah, that's going to be hard because Alabama's not going to get rid of him anytime soon unless he really screws up.
No, he does win a fair amount of games there. So,
also under the bus to Ben Roethlisberger by one of his former teammates, Joey Porter Sr., who went on Cam Hayward's podcast and said, just flat out, was not even shy about it. Ben Roethlisberger, bad teammate. And said he never wants to hear Roethlisberger talk about the Steelers because the Steelers don't respect Roethlisberger. Quote, he should never grab a microphone and really talk Steeler business. If we're talking Steeler business, his ass is foul of all foul. The bleep that he did is foul of all foul. He's not a good teammate. Won a Super Bowl with him, but the person, he's just not a good teammate. He knows that. Anybody in the Steeler building knows that, but we protected him because I've only won one Super Bowl, and that was my quarterback. So do I love my quarterback? Yeah. But is he a good person? No. Ooh.
Well, there you have it. I mean, that's not really mincing words at all.
Also talked about, the players vote for captains, right? But nobody would vote for Roethlisberger for captain, but quarterback's got to be the captain, right? So the team just gave him the captaincy.
He always ended up as one. That's wild. You wonder how often something like that happens. Probably not that often, but I'm sure it's not completely foreign. Clearly in this case.
Yeah, man. So Joey Porter Sr., I would guess not having Ben Roethlisberger on the Christmas card list.
Under the bus.
Or on in the group chat of former Steelers in the, early 2000s, whatever it was. Yeah. Very much not on the same page.
It's time for the sweetest thing in sports on The Big Show.
NFL Combine invites announced today, and there are 6 Mizzou players from last season invited to the NFL Scouting Combine in Indianapolis. Kevin Coleman, Keegan Trost, Zion Young, Chris McClellan, Toriano Pride, and Josiah Trotter. So we'll see how they look over in Indy in front of all of those scouts. 6 players is also a pretty good collection, too. It's a good number.
Kidding. That is good representation and an opportunity to have a number of draft picks, certainly, as a result.
I really hope Kevin Coleman keeps doing what he's doing to maybe climb into the second day. That would be something. I don't know if he's a second day guy yet, but if he
Not
keeps
sure either, but he's making impressions, and that's all you can ask for. As hype starts out in the offseason, builds and builds and builds. That certainly in Indy is a chance for that to continue.
So look out for him. Obviously, Zion Young trying to build upon the momentum he built at the Senior Bowl. I don't even know. Does Josiah Trotter even need to do much? Show up, get measured, everything.
I think he's in a good spot for sure. I don't know. You can always help your draft stock, I think. So, you'll be looking for that. But you're right. I think he's in a really good spot.
So that'll be starting on February 23rd and run through the entire final week of February. Technically runs into a little bit of March as well. So we'll see how those Mizzou players do at the NFL Combine. We've seen several Tigers make their name there before. See if any does it in 2026. We're going to overreact to Pacoda projections coming up at 5:05. Cardinals, according to those projections, are last in the NL Central. The Royals, however, first in the AL Central. We think it'll play out that way. We'll talk about it at 5:05. And we'll talk more Mizzou baseball, previewing the season starts Friday with Matt Michaels, Mizzou baseball broadcaster for the Tiger Radio Network. He'll join us live at 5:25.
Hi, we're Midway Electric. Late winter is the smart time to take a look at your electrical system before spring projects and new power demands put extra strain on it. If your panel is outdated, breakers trip often, or you're planning major upgrades, now is the time to make sure your system is ready. From panel upgrades and repairs to efficient lighting and future-ready electrical solutions, Midway Electric helps keep homes and businesses safe, reliable, and prepared for what's next. Midway Electric, powered by people with pride. MidwayElectricInc.com.
Hey y'all, it's Molly from Billiards. What happens when 2 pharmacists, a restaurant dude, and a math whiz walk into a bar? They buy it, and those 4 awesome people are the new owners of Billiards. Like a good Oscar speech, we don't have enough time to thank everybody. But if you've been part of our journey, we just want to say thanks for boogieing on down.
Boogie on down for burgers and beer. Billiards, home Broadway. Yeah.
Les, honey, I'm coming home.
With Steve, all I have to do is call. I tell him the problem, he takes care of it. That's the way I like it. A good player that can put it in the basket.
This is Coach Norm Stewart, so you should probably listen to what he has to say about Steve's pest control.
Yeah, during my tenure as a coach, I had a lot of ball players that weren't highly recruited, and that's not to take anything away from their talent, because when they got to Missouri, they became the best. They became the best because they worked at it every day. That's what you'll find with Steve. He works at it continuously. That's what Steve does. He's going to give you his best all the time. He'll take care of the bugs, believe me. He does for me in Columbia, and he does for me at the lake.
This is Steve with Steve's Pest Control. We're going to solve your pest problems. I guarantee it.
Now you got a friend in the pest control business. Steve's Pest Control.
KTGR AM Columbia, KTGR FM Fulton Columbia, K286CL Columbia, Mid-Missouri's total sports station. KTGR
is Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Suspensions handed out by the NBA for Monday night's Pistons-Hornets brawl. 7 games for Detroit's Isaiah Stewart for leaving the bench area and participating in the fight. Charlotte's Miles Bridges and Moussa Diabate 4 games apiece for fighting and escalating the altercation. Pistons center Jalen Duren 2 games for starting the fight and participating. ESPN NBA insider Brian Windhorst.
If any of you thought anybody was getting more than this, you haven't been paying attention to NBA enforcement for the last 10 years. And I would say that the Hornets would suffer from losing some players here, but everybody behind them in the standings is tanking, so they'll be fine.
One and only Brian Windhorst. Hornets are 10th in the East. Below them, the Bulls, Bucks, Nets, Wizards, and Pacers. Baseball, Mets shortstop Francisco Lindor, Orioles second baseman Jackson Holliday, and Diamondbacks outfielder Corbin Carroll all need surgery on hamate bone injuries. For opening day, the Mets optimistic about Lindor, Holiday's out, and Carroll is questionable. American skier Lindsey Vonn said she had a successful third surgery following her downhill crash at the Olympics. U.S. speed skater Jordan Stolz won gold in the men's 1,000 meters at the Winter Games in Milan.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive Commercial Insurance can protect your small business with over 30 coverage options, an easy-to-use mobile app, personalized discounts, and more. Get a quote in as little as 8 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Discounts and coverage selections not available in all states or situations.
From Faro.
15 to the 10, to the house.
Bush.
Back to the wall, and it's got her.
And Arrowhead.
Touchdown, Kansas City.
To your speakers.
This is the big show, baby.
Get fresh takes on the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. Right now, this is The Big Show with Andy and Brendan on KTGR.
Does Pacoda hate the Cardinals again? Oh, man. Every year it seems like we do this. And we know this year Cardinals aren't expected to be very good, but is Pacoda maybe even lower on them than that? We'll talk about that and maybe how much the Pacoda projections love the Royals, because, boy, do they love the Royals. We'll get into that in a couple of minutes, and we'll talk with Matt Michaels of the Tiger Radio Network coming up at 5:25 to continue our preview of the Mizzou baseball season, which begins in earnest later on this week. 573-875-KTGR to call or text us on today's show. But first, it's 5 o'clock.
It's time for the Top 5 at 5 on The Big Show. Number 1.
If you want to trade away for curtain number 1, you can have curtain 1.
Opportunity for Mizzou hoops tonight. On the road at Texas A&M. They're about 6.5-point underdogs. A&M probably should win this game, but it is still very winnable for Mizzou if they can play at their best. If maybe they hold A&M to a more pedestrian clip from 3 in this game, if they can slow down A&M's pace like they have done to prior high-tempo opponents earlier on in their schedule, then Mizzou might have a shot this one. Ultimately, I don't think they get it done, but it'll be a close game. They probably lose by 2. Not a deal breaker for the NCAA tournament by any means if they lose it, but it does mean that it puts extra emphasis on a sold-out Mizzou versus Texas game in men's hoops this Saturday at Mizzou Arena.
Number 2.
Number 2, your timing is impeccable.
Pacoda projecting the Cardinals to finish with just under 66 wins, and that's the second lowest projection of wins in the entire National League, only in front of Colorado. I don't think they'll finish that way, but kind of a testament to what their roster looks like at the moment. Royals projected to win the AL Central according to their simulated win total by Pacoda, 85 wins. Next best team is Detroit at 83. I don't know if I believe it all the way to that point, but it is notable that Kansas City getting some love from Pacoda early on.
Number 3.
There's Jordan for 3. Yes!
6 former Mizzou football players will be in Indianapolis for the NFL Scouting Combine starting February 23rd. Kevin Coleman Jr., Toriano Pride Jr., Chris McClellan, Zion Young, Josiah Trotter, and Keegan Trost. We'll see how those guys are able to make names for themselves in that event. We've obviously seen Mizzou players do that in the past, and now we'll see who can emerge as an Indy favorite after this one as it gets started again in a couple of weeks.
Number 4.
Oh, shanked it.
Mizzou softball is on the road and I believe getting underway right now as they take on UCF. Tigers over the weekend went 2-3 in the leadoff classic that they played in Clearwater, Florida. They'll be back to Clearwater this weekend for 5 more games. But this one shouldn't go under the radar. Look, last year, the only thing that left them out of the NCAA tournament was finishing under 500. 2-3 right now. I think these midweeks are important to get you above that 500 mark. We'll see if they can get UCF today.
Number 5.
What is the 5 fingers? Say to the face. Slap.
If I had a nickel for every hamate bone surgery that baseball players needed before spring training, I'd have 3 nickels.
That's The Big Show's Top 5 at 5 on KTGR.
Which you might say, that's only 3 nickels, but still more than I expected to have for that specific thing.
It's not a lot, but it's weird that it's happened 3 times.
Yeah.
That is indeed the way that I view it as well. We talked about the hamate bone thing, but then with Will Carroll on Tuesday, but then Jackson Holliday was added to the list, and Corbin Carroll who I saw a tweet of him throwing those plyo balls against a wall just like 2 days ago, and now he's got the same issue. Is there? I gotta know. We gotta ask Will Carroll next week. Is there something connected that this specific little teeny tiny bone in the hand of these three position players? Like, what is it? Some people think it's the type of bat they're using. Some people are speculating, is it video games? Like, it's kind of weird, or is it just truly coincidental? But that, I swear, before 2 days ago, that bone particularly, I maybe I'd heard what it was. I probably could have told you it's in the hand, but I wouldn't have really thought much of it. And suddenly it's all we're talking about. That's weird to me. It's strange.
I don't put tinfoil hats on very often. Hardly ever. But the video game one is something I want to follow, right? Like this is like, it's off season, man. What else are you going to do? You're not, most players, I mean, they probably don't even pick up a baseball until this point. They want to just make sure they work on their bodies, tone and muscles, everything like that, getting to the weight that they want to be at for the season. But other than that, like, how else do you pass the time? And honestly, you pass that time during the season too.
Honestly, that's what I hear. Yeah, they do. Everybody likes video games, so you can't really get too up in arms about it. But it's very interesting that this specific injury is, and I would even go as far, like, okay, we're jumping the shark here because maybe it has nothing to do with video games, and it'll be just like Will Carroll will get mad at us just like he did the substation thing, and it'll be what it is. 49ers still investigating, by the way. And but like, if it is video games, is it a specific game? Is it a specific action? It's like, oh yeah, if you do the joystick, that's what, or if you do, the right trigger button on Fortnite, like, I would be very curious. I'm sure they're not still playing Fortnite. It's probably something else.
Fortnite on a console? I thought that was just a phone game.
No,
it's on a console.
I've done Fortnite on the PlayStation before. Yeah.
I honestly, the most up to date thing I have is the Switch, and that's like even generations before everything else that I have.
For a while, I thought it was GameCube, so I think
I do have that still.
Up. Well, you can't get rid of that. I actually did get rid of that, but the good news is, I think of all of them, and maybe this is information that's like 5 or 7 years out of date, but GameCubes used to be super cheap, and now they're not. Now they're like over $100, but they used to be like, you get one for like $25. For whatever reason, people didn't dig it. It was like not on the resale, and now I guess it's vintagey, and so it's like, whatever. Do I still have a GameCube? I don't think I do. N64, I've got one of those kicking around.
One of those, I just still have that too. Man, what do you know?
We're gonna mess up our hamate bone talking about video games if we start playing too many of them. I'm just saying.
I'm not going to play Major League Baseball season, so I think I can deal with it. But
yeah,
Corbin Carroll, Jackson Holiday, and Francisco Lindor maybe have.
Again, we have no idea if it's video games. I just saw someone ask, and now I repeated it because I'm like, could it be? It's got to be something, or it's a complete coincidence. I don't know. Well, I guess time will tell. We'll see if anybody else messes up their hamate bone.
Yeah, before you even really get to workouts for those players, you have that. It's just weird, man. It's very weird.
Yeah.
What's not weird? Not at all surprised by how Pacoda has the Cardinals where they're at, though.
Not a fan.
Well, I'm not. I mean, I guess it makes sense. I mean, it's hard to ever be a fan of where they put them because it seems that they always undershoot, and the Cardinals usually outperform it. This year, though, just a tick under 66 wins.
Wow.
So essentially, they're going to say that they're 66-96 this year, 30 games under 500. And that is, I mean, we're talking about decimal points here, but that's the second lowest mark in the National League. That's behind Washington. That's behind Miami.
Washington, by the way, and Miami for that matter, both signing former Cardinals today.
Yeah.
Washington signed Michaelis.
Well, that's what put them over the top, probably. Gosh.
Probably so. The Marlins signed John King to a fully guaranteed $1.5 million. So good for him.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, that's not the company you're hoping to keep. Even in a rebuild year, you don't want to be down there with those guys.
Yeah, that's tough. That is a spot where we have not seen the Cardinals. Even with Pacoda undershooting them, it seems most years. We haven't seen them undershoot them to the point where the Rockies are the only team that's going to finish below.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Like that's the company we're talking about. Rockies, by the way, 61 and 101 is where they're projected.
It's a little bleak.
Yeah.
Bleak for them. Not so surprising for them. Yeah, so do we agree, I guess, is the question. I historically haven't agreed with Pacoda. And I thought when I hadn't seen it, and I thought, man, surely it's like, oh, they don't like them, 70 wins. And it's like, well, they might, that's kind of the over-under. I think the over-under, and maybe it's updated, but I've seen it from sports books at like 71.5 already this spring.
Yeah.
And 66, I mean, you're not even a standard deviation from losing 100, I think, at that point.
No.
Like you're flirting with some real bad baseball and playing plenty of bad baseball too, if that's what you end up with.
I just think that requires, well, and Cardinal fans will say, well, that's not hard to get to, but that requires like Mason Wynn still not figuring it out at the plate. That requires like maybe only one or two good starters that you can trust every time out to get you a solid outing. It requires like injuries, things like that.
But it's not, you know what? It's not that far away from now. The number I'm seeing it at DraftKings, it's 69.5.
Oh, so they've responded to this, it seems.
Well, I don't know which came first, the chicken or the egg, but it's minus 110 on both sides of a 69.5 line. You know, I always do on my Twitter account, I do the win total and I ask Cardinals fans over under, and I start real low,
right?
So I can, get some engagement farming for a couple weeks, right? and work my way up. No, honestly, I've always started it low because I hate to presume, because I hear so much negativity from Cardinals fans. I'm talking about in the years where they are supposed to be pretty good. I hear the negativity and I'm like, well, the way you guys talk, sometimes I feel like you think this is going to be a 100-loss team. So I start it real low and I work my way up. How low do I have to start it this year to be sure the Cardinals fans aren't going to vote under
61.5? That's probably where you guys
will
start.
They lose 100 games?
Will they lose 100 games?
The first question.
Yeah.
And if the answer is yes, well, no engagement farming for me this year. I guess we just stop after one poll. And it may happen. No, it won't happen.
I think it will. You might get 50-50.
Every year, the dissenting voices are always louder than the silent voting contingent of what people actually think about the Cardinals.
Yeah.
And more often than not, people are more optimistic when I do these polls than you would think. And it's not to say my account is all Cardinals fans. It's a small sample, but I do think it's indicative that, we do hear from folks who are unhappy. And certainly in the Mozeliak era, there were things that they'd gotten way behind on. It's why they're working to fix it now. But I do think that you're going to get enough optimism to people are going to say over the 66 wins that Pacoda is predicting. You're going to get people telling me over the 69.5 that the sports book is setting the line at. And I think in the low 70s, you'll get nestled because I think people are excited. And Ollie Marmol talked today down in Jupiter, was asked by Mike Claiborne about what's he most looking forward to about this team and about, kind of getting into the rhythm of it. And he named a few different guys, and I thought it was important that he mentions Victor Scott, he mentions Mason Wynn, and mentions Jordan Walker, because it's like you said a moment ago. Yeah, if you're carving out how they lose 96 games, it's because you don't get a step forward offensively from Wynn and Scott,
yeah,
or Jordan Walker, where it's like those guys, if they're all league average or above, which some of them have a further distance to traverse to get there than others in that group of three, you're talking about having certainly Burleson and Herrera as guys that are going to be above average hitters. JJ Weatherholt, I think, should step onto the field for the first time in the big leagues this year and be the same. I'm not saying he's going to be the rookie of the year, but he's going to be pretty adept at the plate.
Yeah.
That's 6. And then like Nolan Gorman, is he around league average? That's 7. Like your lineup could be, if you squint, better than maybe people think. What's Lars Newpark going to bring? That's 8. But the pitching is what stood out. Ollie said he's excited to see the pitching because you do have some depth. You do have some guys that are at places in their careers where it's time to take a step forward. And if they do, then I think the Cardinals are going to outperform expectations, certainly those of the Pacoda projections. But if not, it feels right now like they've got depth. They've got 7 starters with big league experience. If they don't from that group get guys to, get 3 or 4 guys that are at least, going to slot into their role in the rotation appropriately, and then you try to dig around and find a number 5 out of that group, it could be really bleak if the pitching goes, because they don't have an ace. A guy like Liberatore, I think, is going to try to become that and embody that, but they don't have a guy that's done it at this level and is a true shutdown number 1 type of front end starter. it's going to be fascinating. But that's why I always said the rotation, because I do think it's the most compelling aspect of the team, and it's the one that's most directly tied to whether or not they are going to outperform expectations, or they're going to be kind of at those very, very low expectations this year.
Well, again, I just have to think that they're going to be above it, because it's hard. A bad season, like by Cardinal standards, like it can still be like 70 wins, and that clears this easily. Like they're not going to be a 60. They're not going to, Brendan. They're not going to be a 66 win team.
I don't think that they are.
Right.
I pity. You know who I pity if they are?
Yeah,
me. I pity myself.
Well,
if they are, because it's not going to be a.
No,
I'm not going to have a good
your
time.
boy's not going to.
I'm not going to have a good time because people are going to be upset, and I'm going to hear about it a lot, and that's fine. I get it, but I also think that right now Cardinals fans are bought in on the theory of what the rebuild and even the rebuild year looks like. But I think within that, you're right. They want 72 wins.
Right.
They want enough baseball that they can kind of tuck themselves into saying, you know what, we did some things well this year. I think that's still where people are going to want to live, and we'll see if they can.
875 KTGR. Pacoda says 66 wins for the Cardinals this year. Is that too high? Is that too low? Give us a call or text at 875 KTGR. Meanwhile, the Royals. Pacoda likes them. 85-77 on the dot. They project them. And that is tops in the AL Central, a division that, well, Pacoda doesn't really think all that much highly of anyway. Detroit is at around 83 wins. Minnesota is around 80. So they're below 500, according to this. Cleveland at 76. And the White Sox at around 69. So the Royals projected by Pacoda to win the division. You think they do that?
I could see it. I don't think I would predict it necessarily. And it's honestly, man, what the Tigers are doing lately with their rotation is very, very interesting.
That's what confused me. Why is
that's my team to pick, I think, at this point.
AL Central. Does Pacoda really not think that Detroit is getting boosted all that much based on getting Framber Valdez and re-upping with Verlander? Like, I don't know how much Verlander's has left yet, but it's more a nice story than anything else. But like, also Detroit last year went bonkers. Now it seemed to add more to it.
Man, Verlander had a 3.85 ERA with San Francisco.
That's pretty good.
and he hasn't been a Tiger in almost 10 years, and this kind of feels like going back to where it all began. But I mean, if Justin Verlander is your number 4, or your 5, I mean, Tarek Skubal, Framber Valdez, Jack Flaherty has more than held his own.
Casey Mize,
like. I don't really even think they need it. And I mean, they've got a really solid rotation, and that's going to be fascinating to see if they're able to get it done. Now, you do explain the Verlander signing by Reese Olson is out for the season.
Yeah.
And so you might have thought, well, do they really even need a 5? That's what I was just looking up. I was like, Reese Olson's there too. Well, he's hurt. But that's a 1 through 5 that's very good. That's going to be I put it up against anybody in the American League. I mean, the Dodgers probably clear everybody fully healthy when it comes to their rotation. But what AL teams go 5 deep, and your 5th guy is Justin Verlander?
Yeah.
Like and I'm high on Mize, and I think Flaherty is more than capable of being like a solid number 3 or number 4. So at least on paper, and like they've got those position players, they kind of are like the Brewers of the AL almost, in the way that they've put together a pretty solid lineup, and not a ton of guys that jump off the page at you, but they've 1 through 9 they're going to put together good at bats. The Tigers would be my team, but I'm not trying to take a lot away from the Royals, because I do think that they are going to be improved from last year. Pitching has been the bright spot for them. A lot of that's coming back and has a chance to even be healthier. Reagans didn't have a good season. I think he'll be better. We talked about Bubic, not being healthy, and you're looking for that from him, of course. I think offensively, like, Caglione's going to be a plus rather than a minus. I just have to believe that he is. Bobby Witt's still going to be Bobby Witt.
Well,
I think they're going to be in a good spot.
And the fences are coming in. I mean,
Vinny Pasquantino is about to have a monster I'm telling you, he's about to have a monster season. You can't really call it a breakout because he's already been a really capable player. But that's another guy that I think he benefits from the fences and is already a guy that, doesn't strike out a ton, just barely over 100 strikeouts last year and nearly 700 plate appearances and hit 32 home runs. He could hit 40 as a guy who doesn't strike out very much.
Yeah, he got 32 last year. 40 is on the table for Vinny P.
I think
season.
it is.
Absolutely. Salvi also will benefit from that. Salvi is going to hit more home runs this year. And obviously across the board, guys can take advantage of it. We'll see what it does just for the Royals pitching wise, whether they can mitigate that a little bit more. And then what they added, like they actually added outfielders this time. Now they're kind of bringing in Lane Thomas as sort of their reclamation project. Like, okay, bad year last year, but let's see if, change of scenery and we can do something with him. And like, that's a veteran professional hitter that can give us professional at bats, see if he can factor in. I like Isaac Collins as an under the radar ad, Brendan.
I was surprised they didn't give up a ton to get him. Am I remembering this correctly?
Yeah.
Brewers have done some weird things where it's like, I know we need to trust the Brewers and the Brewers are infallible and they never make a mistake when it comes to an acquisition.
Yeah.
But they moved on from him. And I believe they just traded Caleb Durbin as well.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, interesting. Let's see. But yeah, I like that get for the Royals as well. It's perfect for what they needed, right? Is Isaac Collins going to be as good of a hitter as he was last year for Milwaukee when he has 779 OPS? You go back and had good minor league numbers coming up, but is he going to be that guy at 27 years old, had that breakout season? He doesn't even have to be, Andy. If he's a 720 OPS, you could shave 50 points off that thing and he would still be far more productive than what the Royals were running out there at times in their outfield last year.
Yeah, that will be the addition that people will immediately say, like, wow, the Royals did that? And they got a reliever out of the Brewers, and all they had to give up was all in hell Zerpa?
It was very strange.
Like,
I truly, I have no idea what.
Yeah.
Very strange. I'm sure Zerpa's going to be great for Milwaukee because that's just the way it goes.
But turn him into a starter and do that.
But he's just been a fine reliever throughout his career. I don't really know. I don't get it. He'll probably have a 1.8 ERA out of the bullpen for him, but that's still, I'm kind of going. I think the Royals certainly needed a guy like Collins more than they did Zerpa.
Yeah, so like the Royals, I think will be improved. The question is, like, what will that mean for everybody around them? Because I do think Pacoda undervalues Detroit. Cleveland will be undervalued, but they'll always be there. Like they'll be in the mix for a wild card or something like that. They'll be up and down a lot of years, but I think this can be an up year for them. And then we'll just see how the Royals fit into all of that. It's good to have the rotation, no changes to the rotation at all. And then you still have depth from what you built up at the trade deadline last year to fill in, because Ryan Berger's still around and you like him, and Stephen Kolek and other guys. So I won't rule out the Royals to win the division, but
I won't rule it out. I think the Tigers are going to be a force. I think Cleveland is consistently, they've got a very good, sound organization. Cardinals pulled the Cerfolio from there. Let me ask you, though, if you haven't seen already, what do you think the number is on Royals over under
at the sports book?
Yeah.
87.5.
It is 80, and I love this. I would take over 81.5.
Whoa! Oh,
I don't think they're going to win the division, but Andy,
that's
come crazy.
On. Winning team.
Dude, that might be the value of the entire, and like we can go through as it gets a little bit closer. That might be the value of the entire board if you're betting over-unders on baseball win totals. I think the Royals are certainly going to have a winning record because I do think they've taken steps to improve offensively, and the pitching has already been there. And it's like last year, the pitching wasn't as good as it, somehow it's kind of hard to believe, but it wasn't as good as it could have been if they had been fully healthy. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so maybe you won't be fully healthy this year. I'm looking at roster resource. It's always a great kind of snapshot type of vibe to what a team is. Maikel Garcia, Bobby Witt, and Maikel Garcia can do 90% of what he did last year and would still be really a super value to that team. It was an all-star last year and put up some really, really good numbers at the plate, kind of out of nowhere. Garcia, Bobby Witt, Pasquantino, Salvi. I say Caglianone's going to be a better than 100 OPS plus this year, which he was not last year. Collins, and you still have India. So he cut his hair. That's 7 of your 9.
Yeah.
Do you still have maybe some weaknesses? Yeah, you probably do. Carter Jensen is who they have labeled as the DH. And I think Isbell, you're fine with Kyle Isbell because I think he's going to give you that defense in center field, and that matters for the pitching staff. But, man, Reagans, Waka, Bubic, Lugo, Cameron as your top 5, and they've got, as you mentioned, guys waiting in the wings. I just think they're too deep. Urseg is back. Estevez is back. They've got relievers. The bullpen's, I think, in better shape than it's been in some years coming into a season. I love the Royals to win at least 82 games, if that's all they're asking at the sports books.
They won 82 last year.
And a lot went wrong, and I think they've went out and made marked and specific improvements to where they needed them on the roster.
So what do you think, Royals fans? Division winners, like Bakota says, or just above 500? 875-KTGR. Tell us your Royals takes, also your Cardinals takes. Bakota has them at 66 wins for the year. We'll talk more Mizzou baseball next. Matt Michaels with the Tiger Radio Network. You can hear him on all the Mizzou baseball broadcasts this year. He'll join us to give his thoughts on the Tiger team, as he is over in Florida right now as we speak, as the Tigers get set for their season Friday. Matt Michaels joins us next on The Big Show.
The best subscriptions in life are free. Subscribe to KTGR on YouTube to watch The Big Show and other exclusive content. YouTube.com/@KTGR Sports.
What's new in the candy kitchen? Valentine's Day is this Saturday. You waited until the last minute to find a gift? Perfect. This is Mike with the Candy Factory reminding you that our famous chocolate-covered strawberries are available now. Fresh, juicy, sweet strawberries double-dipped in the Candy Factory's special blend of pure milk, delicious dark, and creamy white chocolate in half-pound and 1-pound gift boxes. Be a part of Columbia's Valentine's Day tradition and give the gift of the Candy Factory's famous chocolate-covered strawberries. We'll see you at the corner of 7th and Cherry Streets in downtown Columbia.
Okay, the limb is hanging over the driveway. I need this pruned.
Oh, call the electrician.
An electrician?
Yeah, or maybe your HVAC guy.
You've officially lost it. I need an expert in the right field.
Fine. Call that lawn company. They mow and prune.
Yeah, they also scalped your yard last summer.
When it comes to trees, trust the experts who actually know trees. Ones that are trained and educated for pruning, planting, and removals done right. Call Eric at Advanced Tree Solutions, your tree's best friend. AdvancedTreeSolutionsLLC.com.
Michael Agnew here with API Project Fitness. I understand that life is hard, and if you're soft, it will squish you. You must find a way to be hard. Armor yourself up mentally and physically and emotionally. Our goal is to help you find your inner strength and hardness. The difference between strength and weakness is choice. With our group fitness classes and personal training and open gym, the choice is yours. Choose strength. Find us at APIProjectFitness.com or call us at 573-268-6944 to make an appointment.
You're a merchant of all things that are man. Firearms, fishing, cars, food, sports. Yeah, the kind of stuff every man always needs more of. So show it off at the Mecca of Man, the 2026 Como Man Show, Saturday, March 14th at the Northeast Event Center where the Boone County Fair is held. It's the best and most fun way to show every man they need what you got. Seriously, by showing them. Bring your best stuff, show it off, and have a blast. For more info on being a vendor at the Man Show, go to ComoManShow.com.
It was 1 p.m. on a Monday when the phone rang. Brian Ware Plumbing and Restoration answered the call. It was a panicked family with a mouse problem. Well, a mouse/plumbing problem. Their toilet was more backed up than the connector at 63 and I-70. But Brian's team eventually plucked out the problem. It was a mouse, but like the computer kind, which the family then asked if they could keep afterwards. We didn't ask why. Better call Brian and unplug your plumbing problems. BrianWarePlumbing.com.
From elegant weddings to corporate lunches with flavor and flair, Courtyard by Marriott Columbia brings the party and the pros. It's the home of Main Event Catering. And with every event, you'll get an award-winning chef, full banquet staff, and drop-and-go options for any size crowd. And the event center holds up to 300 guests with 8 flexible rooms. If you need help, there's a Marriott certified wedding coordinator on staff too. Book now by calling 573-443-8000.
Welcome to every gym in January. Membership prices, crazy high. Crowds, even worse. All just to wait in line for a bench. Or, hear me out, you could build your own home gym from Play It Again Sports. Free weights, dumbbells, plates, treadmills, ellipticals, benches, racks, and more. New and used. At prices that don't feel like a crime. No crowds, no monthly fees, no awkward eye contact with Chad curling on the squat rack. Play It Again Sports. Think of them first so you don't finish last. PlayItAgainSportsColumbiaMo.com.
Tired of calling Andy and Brendan? So are their wives. Then shoot them a text right now. 573-875-KTGR and become part of the Big Show.
You can call or text us here on the Big Show at 875-KTGR. Thoughts on the Cardinals and Royals, Pacoda projections. They're low on the Cardinals, high on the Royals. See how that looks for the 2026 season. And with baseball also comes Mizzou baseball season that officially opens Friday. The Tigers take on Mount St. Mary's for their first three-game series. Neutral site three-game series in Fort Myers, Florida. Tigers will be essentially playing 6 of their first 7 games there. They'll have a midweek at Florida Atlantic, a true road game sandwiched in during that trip over the next week or so. And so we'll see how Mizzou starts out the season there. And here to talk about the Mizzou baseball season, one of the broadcasters you can hear all season long, along with Tex Little, Matt Michaels of the Tiger Radio Network joins us here on the KTGR hotline for what I assume can only be his Big Show debut, right? That's what this is.
No, we've had him on before.
This? Oh, have we? Oh, okay, good. Well, I'm glad that you're at least a little familiar with the program, Matt.
Well, that's very kind of you to say, and hi to you, fellas. I will say, though, you put me in a real bad spot, because if I say anything crosswise of Coach Jackson in the first hour, then I'm the one in trouble. So, I mean, I don't know how I follow that act, because you got the boss on the air. So I will do my best to give you something different than the guy who has all the answers.
Well, hey, you've done pretty well on this show in the past doing exactly that. So we believe in you, Matt. You're in Florida now. How is it?
It's lovely. It's, right now cooling off, the sun setting. It's probably about 70 degrees, cooling in the 60s. We're actually out here right now at Terry Park, where the Tigers are going to play their first 3 here in Fort Myers, a historic venue, by the way. Connie Mack had a hand in putting up the original part of this grandstand with the old Philadelphia Athletics. It stood here for a long time. The Royals had their spring training here. It's now a city park with the city of Fort Myers, but the Tigers are at their practice on one of the backfields, and you can feel some of the history. I mean, not just the likes of George Brett, a Hall of Famer, have played on this diamond in this configuration that the Tigers will play this weekend, but even Babe Ruth, for a game in spring training, played as a member of the Philadelphia Athletics. And I'm sure all these stories are some we'll get into when we start broadcasting the games, but you can really feel some of the history out here, and it's a really unique venue, I think, for the Tigers to open up their 2026 season.
Yeah, certainly looking forward to that. Matt Michaels of the Tiger Radio Network, Mizzou baseball broadcaster, and, of course, former Big Show co-host here on the Big Show, KTGR, and the KTGR app. It's always interesting to see how the team looks in the first few games. We don't know how much we might learn about them when they get to the major competition that they'll have in conference play. But from what we can learn about Mizzou's makeup, their construction, what do you expect for what we could learn about them in a year where, look, there's obviously room for improvement, but how do you think we'll see that here in the very, very beginning?
Well, it seems just that when these seasons happen, Andy, where the Tigers are on the road in a long trip, and they've spent a few of them over the years, specifically in Fort Myers, even though it's only 7 games, you feel like you can learn a lot about individuals, maybe confirmation of what you've seen in the preseason, or something a little bit different that you didn't expect. There's always some sort of storyline that comes out of it. There are a lot of freshmen on this team, and Coach Jackson has not been shy about saying he wants to be a builder. You'll probably hear it over the course of the season. Nobody likes the build but the builder, and the Tigers are trying to really build something here. So whether it is, on the pitching staff, or whether it is for a position player here or there, how do we see those freshmen work in? And how do we see some of these transfers who are guys who have experience at the Division I and in some cases the SEC level mix in with a group of players that have either, and it seems like it's one or the other, been here for some time and have stuck with Missouri and have committed to the program through thick and thin, and maybe some other guys who were freshmen last season who were really thrown into a fire that maybe they weren't quite prepared for in the SEC, but now have that experience and can carry it forward and be much more successful in their sophomore or maybe redshirt sophomore seasons. I think that those are the storylines we look for, and to see specifically who those players are who step up and stand out. We'll know a few of them by the time this trip is done.
And Matt, Coach Jackson mentioned it with us earlier, the notion of kind of having to throw guys into the fire last year because it's an injury-riddled season, but then you find out maybe you didn't quite have the depth that you were hoping. Is that sort of the vibe at this point, is the idea that via the portal and in the other ways of acquisition, maybe getting some guys back healthy, that the depth should be in a better spot this year?
It should absolutely be in a better spot. In fact, I was speaking with Coach Jackson about it the other day, and he feels confident, not just, saying it as a buzzword, that the depth of this team is going to be improved from a season ago. And yeah, that's health willing for everyone. But I mean, you had a guy in Javen Pimentel who missed all of last season, and he's going to be your Friday night starter. It was officially announced today. You had a player who missed a lot of last season, a young pitcher in Josh McDevitt, who was coming on. And then he had, I believe it was a lat injury. And by the end of the season, you saw, okay, you see improvement. And now he's your Saturday starter. And then on Sunday, one of those players that we mentioned who was thrown into the fire last year in Brady Kellenbrink, who never backed down from a challenge, and you saw flashes of his talent, but he kind of got swallowed up by the fact that it's the SEC and it's your first go around in it. And maybe he wasn't quite ready for that. Well, now that guy's your Sunday night starter. So just from that standpoint alone, in three different areas, those are three players who were out of the spot you expected them last year, and now they're your 3 weekend starters to begin the year. That adds to your depth immeasurably to begin with, and you're not even counting position players and places where you thought you added or have a log jam at a position. So it's going to be something that is the calling card for this team. You'll see more players situationally than you did last year just by virtue of having all hands on deck. And hopefully you'll see a lot more of them have success in those spots because they're spots that they're able to take on maybe a little bit more readily than last season when it could have just been, you're the last man up, not just the next man up.
Matt Michaels, Mizzou baseball broadcaster on the Tiger Radio Network here on the Big Show KTGR. How do you see the addition of Drew Dickinson making an impact in this one, given his experience, given the success Virginia had with him leading the pitching staff? How do you see that translating over?
I think it's something that we're all going to be watching out for. I mean, Tex Little and myself included. How will he handle the pitching staff? We've heard from several players that, he's really good as a tactician and a manager of people. So how does that translate to a game? I think we're interested in seeing that. I know that he's a competitor and one who is here to win. I mean, you don't go to 3 College World Series at Virginia without an understanding of what it takes to be that level of competitor and to have a lot of success. And for him to get back to some Midwestern roots is very exciting, but also have the experience of high-level competition in the ACC, I think is really, really valuable. So I think that probably the imprints on the staff will reveal themselves, but I also think that he's going to demand a competitive level from his players, and there is enough, again, of that word depth, where if someone doesn't have it that day, he and Coach Jackson are not going to be afraid to make the switch, right, and see if someone else can do it, especially in the early season when there's a lot of people hungry to prove something.
Matt, I want to ask you, and obviously it's sort of the elephant in the room when you talk about this team. Nobody had fun winning only 3 conference games last year, but I'm curious, as you see it and as you see your conversations with Coach Jackson, what do you make of the way that he's approaching sort of the process behind how you get to more wins? Because obviously more wins is the goal, but you can't necessarily get there by just saying, hey, we need to win more games. What do you make of just the way that he is embracing that process to try and get to the eventual goals that they have?
I think the process is the main word, Brendan. It is all about the process. It is about not skipping steps on the way to where you want to be. Coach Jackson says frequently that all you can do is put yourself in a position to win. And you might hear that and think, well, you want to win every game. Well, of course you do. But some days the other guy's better. Someday the other guy is worse. As long as you're consistent in how you do your business and handle that process, if you're in the spot to where you can win the game at the end, then that's where you want to be as a baseline. And I think that comes with consistency of competition and consistency of experience, which the Tigers have a lot more of this season. I just think, from a personal standpoint, you got to find more consistency in weekends like these to start the season against non-conference competition that you probably have a talent advantage against. I mean, nobody's played games yet, right? But there's a lot of talent on this Missouri ball club. And that's not to say anything necessarily against Mount St. Mary's. It's just the matter of fact. So can you take these weekends and not just use them as building blocks, but also use them to get your victories and have winning weekends? I think that is going to be important for this group to get its legs underneath it, to maybe make some mistakes, but also make mistakes and wins instead of having to think about, man, what can I do to get the W tomorrow? No, those things will happen. The win should also come if you're doing the right thing every day and following that process.
Matt Michaels with us here on the Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app. Mizzou baseball season begins Friday as the Tigers take on Mount St. Mary's. Matt, when this team gets to conference play, it's an absolute monster. Can you contextualize just this year from what you're looking at around the league, how strong it actually is compared to maybe even some other years?
I mean, it's as stacked as it's ever been, and I felt like last year was equivalent. I mean, we'll see when the games begin. But let's face it, guys, all the stuff that we're talking about with the NCAA and extra eligibility and guys getting extra years. I mean, Missouri has sixth-year seniors. They have Pierre Seals, who was a benefactor of the Diego Pavia decision in court. These are players that in previous years, 5 seasons ago, would not have been eligible to play college ball. But because of COVID and the way that things have shaken out, you've got a lot of top-level talent that is in this league, a lot of veteran talent. So either you're a freshman and you're playing right away because you're a stud and somehow you avoided the draft or you didn't want to go into the draft, or you're a fifth-year, sixth-year senior who's been through all the wars and just knows how to get the job done and get guys out. And these guys litter the Southeastern Conference. It's the most competitive league by far. There is never a weekend off. And even though Missouri, in some regards, they'll go up against some teams that might be a little bit further down the bottom of the totem pole in terms of the preseason coaches rankings. They get a home series with South Carolina. They'll be on the road at Oklahoma. And I think most external observers think that those three are looking up at the rest of the pack at this point. That really means nothing, because all these teams are so talented that when it shakes out and you get, 3 weekends into the league year, you could really learn a lot about teams that is on the positive surprise and maybe on the downside surprise as well. So because it's so stacked and the margins are so slim, it's hard to really judge where teams will really rank. But we can say that it's as loaded from a talent perspective as ever. There's a reason Major League Baseball teams draft from the SEC and the ACC. It's because they've got all the dudes. And there is no lack of dudes in the Southeastern Conference this year. I can promise you that.
Matt, how do you feel about Brendan losing the Soup or Bowl draft despite begging, pleading for the number 1 pick and using it on Bread Bowl?
Oh.
Well, I would say that losing with a number 1 pick of Bread Bowl is almost unprecedented in the history of that event.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
I mean, the Super Bowl draft, it's not a poor decision to draft number 1 Bread Bowl. I feel like that has historically been a harbinger of success. It's the strongest candidate at the best position of need on the board. The issue may have been with some of the other selections and maybe the compatibility with the Bread Bowl. I believe, Brendan, you were a FA selection, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Doesn't really
and
go
you
in a
even
Bread
said
Bowl.
it doesn't really go together. So you needed to think about team cohesion when you selected Bread Bowl, and I think that maybe got away from you in the later rounds.
Well, frankly, it's the first year I didn't cheat, and I still strong-armed Andy into giving me the first pick. So we got to go back to the drawing board. I am considering cheating again next year, but I got to think about that for a while.
See, that's what I have to deal with now, Matt, with the whole Super Bowl draft stuff.
Well, I mean, in Brendan's defense, if he wasn't cheating, he wouldn't be taking it seriously because, I mean, you don't think these NFL teams aren't finding ways to cheat?
Well,
I mean,
got to find an edge.
He just, yeah, exactly. It's not cheating if you don't get caught.
Well, this year he decided to, We'll try to up our mechanisms for that next year if he decides any type of tomfoolery. Matt Michaels, you can hear him on the KTGR app and at KTGR.com, but also here on the KTGR airwaves from Mizzou. Baseball season, it gets started on Friday. Tigers take on Mount St. Mary's. Pregame begins at 4:45. We're looking forward to it, Matt. We know you are too. Thanks for joining us here today.
Always a pleasure, gentlemen, to talk a little baseball with you, and happy baseball season one and all.
Absolutely. Big Show is on at 5:46, KTGR and the KTGR app. Yeah, I agree that rules could be a little bit better put in place for future years to catch this type of stuff. But
You've always tried to stop me, and I think at a certain point I just plowed through, and in some years it resulted in a win. Yeah. This year, though, I felt like it would just be easier for everybody if I followed the rules, but I thought I've built up enough of I'm a nuisance in that draft, and I thought Andy's going to let me have the top pick, and it's going to be hilarious when I win because of it. I fumbled the bag hard selecting soups that simply did not go with bread bowls. So I'm going to have to go into next year with a 2-tiered strategy. The fork in the road. If I get that first pick and I come by it honestly, because I'm not sure I'll be able to strong arm you again, then I can make a go of it. If I don't, it's that devil on your other shoulder, right? I need to think about if I'm going to listen to that guy next time.
We shall see. You've got 350-ish days to come up with your strategy.
It's never too early to prepare. It's never too early.
875 KTGR. Call or text us. We'll get some more of your calls and texts here on the Big Show after this live local sports center.
Now, your local sports center update on your total sports station, KTGR.
Good afternoon. I'm Billy Jones. This Sports Center update is with Lee's Tire Company. If it's rounded rubber, Lee sells it. Lee'sTireCompany.com. Mizzou men's basketball is on the road tonight in College Station to take on Bucky McMillan's Texas A&M Aggies. Tigers are seeking to win their third SEC game in a row and notch an important addition to their NCAA tournament resume. ESPN's Joe Lenardi currently has Dennis Gates' squad in his first 4 out. Tip-off is set for 8 p.m. with pregame starting 30 minutes prior right here on KTGR. And Mizzou Athletics announced they are searching for a naming rights partner to sponsor Memorial Stadium. Mizzou will engage Intersect Partners, a nationally experienced firm, to help aid the search. They also added that they are seeking to find a new way to honor veterans as the name Memorial will no longer be utilized. This comes as the stadium approaches its 100th anniversary season. And today marks the first spring training workouts for Royals pitchers and catchers. Their first exhibition game comes against the Rangers on Friday the 20th. Cardinals pitchers and catchers reporting for workouts tomorrow, with their first game coming on the 21st. Your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast is with Crutch's Custom Exteriors. Get your very own custom P platform, mowing services, or perfectly landscaped backyard today by calling Crutch's Custom Exteriors. 573-219-6011 or CrutchesCustomExteriors.com.
I'm ABC 17 Storm Track Chief Meteorologist Jessica Hafner. I'm tracking a chilly night as we drop down to about 33 degrees. We'll see increasing clouds for tomorrow. A chance for a few sprinkles in the afternoon with highs in the mid-50s. Friday will end the week on a nice note, partly sunny with highs near 60. I'm ABC 17 Storm Track Chief Meteorologist Jessica Hafner, and that's your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast on your total sports station, KTGR.
High school hoops
Switches on the crossover, Euro step inside, high off the glass and in.
at its best.
Catch it on the left wing, turns around and knocks down the three.
KTGR is your home for the best high school basketball matchups in Columbia. Follow the QBs, Bruins, Spartans, and Trailblazers all season long on KTGR's High School Hoops Game of the Week. See the full list of game broadcasts on KTGR.com and listen on the go with a free KTGR app. High school basketball lives here on your total sports station, KTGR.
Hy-Vee invites you to the second annual Sip and Savor event, benefiting the Food Bank for Central and Northeast Missouri, February 21st at the Northeast Events Center in Columbia, with unlimited tastings of spirits, wine, craft beer, food, and a chance to buy some of the rarest bourbon in the country. Weller, E.H. Taylor, the infamous Pappy Van Winkle, and more. Tickets are just $70. Stop by the liquor department at any of your Columbia Hy-Vees to get yours today. February 21st. Sip, sample, and support a great cause. Only from Columbia Hy-Vee.
Winter is in full swing, and Aleve is here to keep you moving. When the cold weather sets in, everyday aches and pains can linger, but Aleve's got your back. with up to 12 hours of body pain relief per dose. Aleve keeps you going with body pain relief whatever the season brings. Chilly days or cozy nights, Aleve gives you that long-lasting body pain relief you can count on this winter. Try Aleve. Use as directed for minor aches and pains.
How do you stay humble when you're America's #1 wiper blade? That's what we're currently dealing with at Rain-X. Is it even possible to humble brag when you bully Mother Nature like we do? Do we sound too conceited if we keep repeating how Rain-X is the #1 brand of wiper blades in America? No. We'll take a lesson from our wipers and just keep doing our job with humility. As America's #1 wiper blade, Rain-X. Outsmart the elements.
So, Mr. Fancy Dancy Sports Car Dude, you say you were distracted by a raccoon feasting in the road? Okay. How about the fact that you were going way too fast when there's like 5 inches of snow on the ground? Nice ditch you got there, bro. Now you need a save, a savior, a do-over. Find your phone and just Google I-70 Towing. They're Mid-Missouri's go-to crew for slide-offs. When your winter world seems to have been wrecked, call the team they hope you never have to meet. I70towing.com. A raccoon. Just ridiculous.
Okay, sure. We could hire a pilot to fly one of those skywriting planes to write our name in the sky. We could even add fireworks or a guy in a gorilla suit. Or we could just do what we've always done at shopmidmo.com. Offer you amazing deals from Mid-Missouri's best local businesses. Half off dining, entertainment, self-care, and more. Tell you what, we'll skip the skywriting. You skip paying full price. Visit shopmidmo.com.
Shopmidmo.com. Shopmidmo.com.
Would you care for some nightmare fuel? It's 5 a.m., and while you're still shaking off the cobwebs from the previous night's snooze, something else is lurking in another web. Time for a shower. Reach down to start the water, and it's a spider. 8 eyes watching you, and now 8 legs coming right for you. You know what you need? 5 stars. Not like throwing stars, although to be fair, you'd use just about anything to kill that dastardly shower spider. All you need is a 5-star service plan from Steve's Pest Control. Steve scares the life out of pests. Oh, who are we kidding? Steve and his team don't scare them, they kill them. All of them. And because your fear of spiders, wasps, termites, and other insects is very real, Steve's is here to let you know that he and his team are real too. They're not some corporate conglomerate. They're legendary, local, and 100% real.
Hi, I'm Steve with Steve's Pest Control. We're going to solve your pest problem. I guarantee it.
Now you got a friend in the pest control business. Steve's Pest Control.
If it's Mizzou sports, it's happening here. Now, back to the big show on KTGR.
Well, you can get your thoughts in on baseball. Baseball-themed day today. Of course, some important basketball tonight to tune in for Mizzou and Texas A&M, 8 p.m. tip-off. So get your coffee ready for that maybe. And then 7:30 pregame start right here on KTGR. You can also weigh in on what you think the Cardinals and Royals will do. Pacoda thinks the Cardinals will finish with 66 wins and last in the NL Central. They think that Kansas City will finish with 85 wins and first in the AL Central. Jason says go Royals. He says Cardinals 80 wins and Royals 90 wins. So he's optimistic on
That's
both.
Extremely optimistic
For the Cardinals, yes. For sure. Royals also pretty high. I don't know if I'd peg them for 90 wins, but that's not required, I think, to win this division. You can get to 87 and be fine, I think.
Maybe not to win it, but
we'll see.
To be in the playoff spot, yeah.
87 got at least one team in the AL last year. 90 was the mark, or no, 88 was the mark that the Guardians got to win the division last year. And is Cleveland going to be that? I mean, maybe they will outperform their projections, I think.
Somebody will, right? Somebody's going to win 88 or 90 games, I think.
Twins is about right. I don't like the Twins.
Yeah, I don't love the Twins either.
White Sox will be about right. They might get to 70. We'll see.
Probably not.
Kansas City, though, I mean, it comes down to health in the pitching staff. I think you assume, at least that we were assuming it last year when it didn't happen to the Cardinals, but every team can pretty much assume, hey, plan to spend a little bit of time each year without a starter at least one.
Yeah.
The good news is the Royals have guys that they can turn to that have starting experience, and they should be somewhat okay if, God forbid, Michael Walker has to take a month off or something like that. But
right,
we'll see. Cardinals, though, if they get to 80, wow, that's, oh boy, fire up the hype train.
That would be very noteworthy, because I do think there are going to be some challenges associated with their season. There's no doubt, but I think that the 66 is probably a little too pessimistic. I think that they're going to have, again, like on paper, and I know that what they're lacking is like upside players.
Yeah,
but on paper, 1 through 5 in their rotation, passable. 1 through 9 in their lineup, I think I would even say that's passable. 1 through 8. I think there's one spot in that lineup that we're still looking to see, and maybe they add a right-handed hitting outfielder that can DH once Lars Nootbaar is ready, and then you've got, I think, 1 through 9, a capable enough lineup to just be like middle of the pack or slightly below. And if you're that on the pitching side and you're that on the hitting side, you're not going to lose 96 games. You lose 87 games or something like that, but that would be fine. If that's their record, if they're 75 wins this year, I think that's totally fine for where they're at as a process-oriented team looking to build. But man, there's some people who don't think they're going to sniff the 70s, so that's going to be going to be interesting to see which side of the ledger it falls on.
So as spring training opens this week, we'll see A, how those players look very early on, B, if there's anybody else added to the mix. So that's a very real possibility for St. Louis. And then how the roster then shapes up once you get closer to opening day. Lots still to discuss as closer to baseball season. We thank you for talking baseball with us today. Be sure to tune in starting at 7:30 tonight. Mizzou and Texas A&M men's basketball. And we'll be back tomorrow at 4 to react to it all. We'll have an update on our SEC basketball tiers as well. Thanks for joining us today. He's Brendan. He's producer Billy. I'm Andy. We're done for now.